right, welcome into the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. A little bit of a later episode of Starting 9 today because we wanted to get Greg Sylvander in from Charlotte. He's going to be covering the game tonight between the Heat and the Hornets. You can see him there in the lovely 5 Reasons hat. We'll get to Greg here in a second. And we do have some news about stuff that's going on tonight, but also about something that everybody's been interested in that we will touch on here in a second. So stick with us. We do want to tell you about a couple of our sponsors here. One of our sponsors is Get Solis. You can go to it's actually Solis, but you can go Get Solis at getsolis.com. This is for endurance athletes. You can just pound all the Gatorade you want. It's not going to be as good as this, okay? And you're not going to get the sugar and everything else that you get from those sports drinks, right? So if you want to be able to play tennis longer, run longer, there's a mini marathon coming up here in Fort Lauderdale very soon. There was just one in Miami. You can also meet the folks from Get Solis over at the convention centers. They were there at the Miami Beach Convention Center. They're going to be here at the Broward Convention Center. They just come in these little packets, and you get 10% off if you mention 5RSN. So give yourself every edge, particularly if you're a competitive endurance athlete, okay? Use getsolis.com or go to getsolis.com and use the code 5RSN. You will get 10% off. They don't offer discounts for anybody else. They do it for 5 reasons. So go check it out today. All right, Greg. Let's get to it. I want to get to what you found out here at Shoot Around. We're going to post some of those videos, but I know everybody's interested in the Goran Dragic situation, and I did post something a little bit earlier about how I would do it if I were the Heat. Why not? He's going to be clearing waivers, and he's available pretty much to anybody. At this point, he took so much money from the Spurs in that buyout that he doesn't need much money. That's not really an issue at this point. Brian Goins from Heat Beat kind of showed there were 2 different ways that they could do this. But my understanding is that this is highly unlikely for the Miami Heat. I mean, I was told 0% by someone in the know today. I never say 0% because every time we get into percentages, Greg, we get into trouble. Like Tyler Hero's going to get traded 75% less off season. That didn't end up happening. But I was told it's highly unlikely. And it's not because of Goran's lack of interest. I was told it's highly unlikely because the Miami Heat simply don't want to stunt Gabe Vincent's development. They feel like they found a guy who has filled that role, and they just don't want to do it this season. I don't think it has anything to do with another buyout player at this point, although I would watch guys like Paul Millsap and some others and kind of see what happens around the league. But the buyout list at the 4 is pretty weak at this moment. But, Greg, that's pretty much what I've been told now by a couple of different people, not to expect this. That Goran very well could finish his career in Miami and very well could be brought back this summer as some of the parts move around on this roster. But right now, they don't want to insert him into this. That's what I've been told. Is that consistent with what you've heard?
Yeah, I mean, you beat me to it that I think it is it's a next season conversation. I think that it's inevitable that I think he makes his way back here. But for right now, I think that it's not, there's just not any space for him, and that's just a testament to the depth of the roster, and there can be reunions in the future.
I think the other thing it shows you, and we'll talk about this here today because I know Eric Spoelstra addressed it, it shows you that they feel pretty comfortable with Victor Oladipo's progress. The fact that they've put this stuff on social media, he's not a point guard, but he is another ball handler playmaker, which would create more clutter with Goran Dragic in the mix also. I kind of feel like if Vic was not coming back, they would look more seriously at this as insurance. Totally. Right, but I don't think like they feel like they need the Oladipo insurance. I feel like this would be about sort of Gabe Kyle insurance, but they have Vic as potentially providing that in addition to the other guards that they have. So what did Spoelstra say today about Oladipo?
He said he's done 3-on-3. He's done 4-on-4. Only left to do 5-on-5. Won't play in Sioux Falls, but is getting getting his legs under him. And there's no imminent date for his, return or first game, but things are progressing nicely. He's essentially doing everything but 5-on-5. So that's encouraging to hear. And, everybody seems like they're in good spirits about him returning to the team and being, the Oladipo that we saw, or maybe even better for the few games he was in Miami.
Yeah, everything I've heard behind the scenes is very positive. And I always say this. The Heat do not promote things on their channels, whether it's their social media channels, whether it's Bally Sports. unless yes, it was not 0%. He made his shot, Sean. They do not promote things on their channels unless they are comfortable doing so. They make those decisions. The fact that they've been spotlighting Vic as much as they have indicates to you what they think about this, that this is not just some guy, okay, or some Kyle guy or anything like that. They are directly promoting Victor Oladipo. All right, there's more news I want to get to you today. Obviously, who's going to play tonight, who's in, who's out. Before we do want to tell you about one more sponsor here of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. This is a new one, and it's All Pro Construction Builders. All Pro Construction Builders. You can find them there on Instagram. They do impact windows and doors. Remember, hurricane season is always around the corner, okay? You feel a stiff breeze, probably going to be a hurricane, okay? So check them out. It's All Pro Construction Builders. Check them out on Instagram. They're going to have a full website up soon. They're based in Miami. Everybody says we don't have anything in Miami. They service Dade County and South, okay? So Dade County and South. These are the people to reach out to. Reach out to Danny directly, okay? Reach out to Danny directly. He's our guy. I'm going to give you the phone number here in a second. I should have had it up. My apologies for this. But you can get him at 305-484-4429, 305-484-4429. They do not sacrifice quality here, even though they will work with you on pricing, okay? Mention 5 Reasons, and you're going to get yourself a 10% discount. All Pro Construction Builders. Go to the IG. Check it out. Again, this is a growing company here in South Florida, but the reviews are great. Okay, so go to All Pro Construction Builders. All right, let's construct tonight's roster here. Look at that. We might have a little bit of an in on this. Jimmy Butler, in or out?
Jimmy Butler warmed up with the intention to play. He was running around having lots of fun and lots of laughs during shoot around, so it looks like he's a go. I think Caleb, there's a little bit more of question marks, although he looked like he was, participating in full in terms of shoot around. Not that that's a big participation, but so I didn't get clarity on Caleb because I was a little late to Spo discussing him, but Jimmy will be playing for sure, and everyone else business as usual.
If Caleb's going to try to play in a game, it's going to be this one. I would anticipate and also he took the trip, right? So that's usually an indication that he's going to try to play.
He was the last guy off the floor too.
Right. So I would anticipate it. By the way, Michael Lissack, well, every time I see Lissack, he's got less and less hair. He just walked behind you there at the arena. Of course, those who did not make the trip, we know Oladipo, obviously, Morris, obviously, Hero, obviously. Was he asked about Morris today? Or I feel like everybody's just giving up on that.
Yeah, no, there was no questions there. There was questions about whether Javonte Smart would travel with the team or stay in Sioux Falls. Right now, they're going to keep him in Sioux Falls and, just let him continue to get reps there. He did mention that they prefer, in certain circumstances, to have players on the two-way contracts travel with the team to really be integrated in the things that they're doing. But for now, they're going to keep Javonte Smart in Sioux Falls.
Well, that makes sense with the All-Star break coming up. I figure, they're going to get a read here over the next week, who's ready to go and who's not. I wouldn't be stunned if we see Markieff here shortly after the break, but it's just so hard to read that particular situation. All right, anything else come out of today?
Max Strus cannot wait for the All-Star break. He was adamant to me that he is looking forward to getting a breather, so I'm sure that that's a collective viewpoint from everybody on the roster.
That's the thing, too. There are a lot of guys on this team that have never played this kind of minutes, this number of games. I feel like for even some of the younger guys like Max, like Gabe, and now we've seen, obviously, Tyler has, but, Tyler, I think, to get this break, I think is positive for them. Of course, look, what's at stake tonight is the number 1 seed. You could go into the break, the number 1 seed. Stephen A will still be talking about the Lakers, but it's okay. I think we saw last night that Rudy Gobert should never be considered for Defensive Player of the Year when he can't play the last 6 minutes of a game against the Lakers of all teams. I think it's a pretty good indication. But they got to get this one tonight. I think, again, going in with a 2-game losing streak after the momentum that they built, would be a bit of a negative here. And this is a team they've held down the last couple times. Highest scoring team in the league. I don't know if they still are, but they were the 2 times they played them. And they held them under 100 both times. I think you and I were both in agreement, as was Brady and Alex, that Jimmy's harping on the on the defense the other night was a little off because I thought the offense was a much bigger problem. So we'll kind of see what happens tonight.
Yeah, and another thing Spoelstra mentioned was he's expecting Charlotte to throw some different things at them this game because they just saw them recently. You know, it was like a week or so ago. So he's expecting some adjustments. So it'll be interesting to see how they've kind of countered when Miami came in here and kind of handled them. You know what I mean? So I think that that's an intriguing thing just to watch because we've seen what teams are starting to do with Jimmy, particularly late. So I'm interested to see. I don't know that Charlotte has anyone on their roster that can do the things that Dallas.
Well, that's the thing. They are almost the complete opposite roster of Toronto and Dallas. They're small. I know they just brought in Harrell, but I mean they're going to try to spread the floor, and the Heat have done a really good job on LaMelo. If you look at his shooting numbers against Miami, Terry Rozier has given them some problems over the years, as we know. There's no Malik Monk there anymore. But you take a look at LaMelo. He has not played particularly well against. He's had some highlight moments, but his overall efficiency has been bad. I feel like they can do that again. All right, Greg, we appreciate it. We're going to get some of these videos up on the site. Go to prizepicks.com. Get in your picks today. Now that you know Jimmy's playing, you might want to play it. Play the code 5. Jimmy went over on pretty much everything the other night. Okay, so play the code 5, and we might have a BAM game tonight. I feel like in this place and getting some momentum into the break for sure. But again, thanks to our sponsors, All Pro Construction Builders, prizepicks.com, getsalise.com. Use the code 5RSN. And the news here, and look, I know everybody throw this in my face if it ends up happening. I'm not anticipating Goran Dragic signing with the Miami Heat now. I do think Goran's going to be back at some point, and it could be as soon
keyword
as
now.
Now, I just doesn't seem like they want to take the time away from Gabe. The two people I spoke to about this, I said why, and the text I got back was one word: Gabe. I don't think they want to do anything to damage his confidence at this stage. I don't think it's about Goran not accepting the role, from what I've heard. I feel like he would. I just don't think they want to play around with it right now. So, which is understandable. And we'll kind of see where that goes. All right. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Thanks to our producer, Manny Chang. Check out the rest of the content on the channel, and we'll be back. In about 6 hours before floor. Have a good night, everybody. Day. We'll be back at night. Bye.